Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes. There is some sort of noise from your side.
From my side.
Yeah. You can switch off your mic. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about how the web application works, like how the input will be taken by the web application and how that input will be processed by the web application. Because our course is related to the web application pen testing, APIs as well as mobile applications, right? So in general, how the web application takes the particular set of inputs and how it process. Like we will discuss about them. First of all, web application is an interactive program that runs on a web server. Okay, first of all, coming to the DevOps concepts, there are some sort of the servers existing in the existing for uh, for the for the production applications. Like it gives us the way for the applications to be deployed into the public area so that it can be accessed by the users. That web server could be prone to vulnerabilities, or even the web application can be also prone to the vulnerabilities. So when performing the penetration testing for the web applications, we have to keep in mind that web application is also important as well as the web server is also important. Like we have to check the what are the configurations residing in that particular web server. And coming to the web browser. Web browser can also be prone to the cyber attackers, which means the client-side attacks. Okay. This is web server. This is web application. And this is web browser. These both components could be called as the server-side components. This component can be called as the client-side component. Here, the web browser could be the Mozilla Firefox or even the Google Chrome. Here, the web application could be any of the bank applications, and here the web server could be of the any Apache server, Tomcat server. Okay. So the data taken from the client or the user is contains some of the information related to the customer interests, or some of the information about the credit card information like bank details, username, password. This type of information will be taken by the first of all web application, and that web application will send that amount of data or input to the web server. Here the actual processing of the data happens. This is called as a database, and here another web application. So first of all, let's say for example, the data is taken from the client. So the data is taken from the client, and the data is taken by the web application, and that web application is taken to be proceeded into the web server. And depending upon the requirements asked by the client, the data will be processed to the database, or it can be processed to the another web application. But here, to get the information from the another web application through particular web application, like this can be web application 1, and this could be web application 2. if the client is accessing this web application and wants to access the resources of this web application, it can be only done through the some type of mechanism called as API. API. Okay. So that's how the data from the client will be taken by the web server and it will be processed. Here, when the data is transferred from the client, there can be the vulnerabilities here. These type of vulnerabilities are called as the client-side vulnerabilities. Here, some of the existing vulnerabilities in the web browser could be the CSR. I will explain what is meant by CSRF and how to explore those vulnerabilities. I will explain in the coming lectures. Here, SSRF. Like the vulnerabilities existing in the server area, it is called as the server-side request forgery, or any other like SQL injection can also be one of the vulnerabilities existing in the server side. So this is the web application architecture. First of all, the data will be get from the client and it will be processed through the DNS server. And from the DNS server, it goes to the load balancer. Okay. After the load balancer, depending upon the configuration of the load balancer set by the application owner or some engineer from the DevOps department, the request will be sent to the if there are 3 web servers, the request will be sent to any of these web servers depending upon the availability of those web servers, like availability of those pods. Okay, if one of the pod is having a heavy amount, it will not send to those server or pod. It can be sent to the another server, okay, depending upon the availability, and as well as the depending upon the resource availability as well. And from there, if data is being processed, wants to access is from the database, the data from the database will be retrieved by the web server. And if the data related caching server, hello.
Hello, Kiran.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Some sort of disturbance is coming. Can you check once?
Again from my side.
Yeah.
Can you hear? No.
Yes.
Like I am asking whether there is a noise again.
No, actually, the disturbance is which air sound. When we
Yeah, okay, I will speak a little bit louder, okay?
Okay.
So if as I said earlier, if there are some of the records existing in the cache service, or the cache service is basically used to reduce the latency between the response given by the web server to the client. So if some user is accessing a google.com in a frequent manner, like many thousands of times on a particular average day, so that google.com data will be stored in this caching service, and if the request is related to that domain of google.com, immediately the data from this caching service will be taken by the web server, and that web server will send the data to the client. Okay, client means here user. So that's how the traditional web application works in traditionally. Okay. So first of all, we have to check what are the input points, like what are the input checks where the data is being stored and processed. Okay. Here the first of all the data will be taken by the web DNS server. Here the input data can be you can take it as an input point, and from the data will be stored into a load balancer as well. This can be the input point as well, and from that the data can be stored into the web server. So this is also one of the input points. So here we have to check, like as a penetration testing, we have to check the overall endpoints, like where the data is being processed or like data is being attached at that area. So we have to check for the vulnerabilities existing. So the DNS as well as the load balancer will relate to the network penetration testing. Coming to the web server, it is related to the web application pen testing. So our major area of focus will be into this web application pen testing only. Like it might be related to the database as well. The database pen testing as well as the web application pen testing is similar. Okay, like similar, it is not related to similar. It is interlinked. Okay. So coming to the components, DNS. DNS name is the domain naming system. It is a fundamental system that helps search a domain name and IP address. Let's say, for example, if a user is accessing the abc.com, that abc.com will be searched by the DNS server with the help of the IP address. Like it doesn't have any configuration set to identify through the only domain name. It can only be identified with the help of the IP address. So the resolving of those domain name into the IP address can be useful not to get the report stored in the domain name server. So that is the DNS. And coming to the load balancer just distributes the amount of HTTP requests equally onto the respective web servers, like to work in an efficient manner, so that the application would work in the efficient manner without any reduction of the responses given to the clients. So here we can say that there could be attack on this load balancer, like there can be the scope for the DDoS attacks. Like I have mentioned, right? DDoS attacks means like a heavy amount of the HTTP requests will be sent to the web application, and that web application cannot process those number of HTTP requests. Then the web application might crash, or at sometimes it cannot even give the exact responses required for the clients. So at that point of time, here the request would be sent to the load balancer. Okay. Here the attacker might get the configuration of this load balancer, like how the load balancer works uh, on the individual HTTP requests. Like first of whether the load balancer checks the HTTP requests, or it just checks the availability of the ports, and it just redirects those HTTP requests to the web servers. Like depending upon the configuration set by the application owner. First of all, the cyber attacker checks the configuration, and he just prepares the strategy in order to attack those web application. So here, the attacker getting the idea of the configuration of the load balancer could be called as the reconnaissance methodology. Reconnaissance. It is called as the reconnaissance method. What is reconnaissance method means? First of all, bit of the web application. Yeah, first of all, the steps included in the penetration testing, like vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, includes the first step is the reconnaissance. Reconnaissance means the getting the critical information about the web application architecture, or even the web applications or servers. This type of useful information to that could be used by the attacker, so that he can prepare their strategies in order to attack the actual web application. So that's called as the reconnaissance methodology. So talking in as a reconnaissance method, coming to the VAPT engineering, it is the data given by the client to the VAPT. Perform the VAPT of the applications. Here, if the data is given by the client, it can be useful for the penetration testing, or else if the data is not given by the client, we can perform the nmap tool. Get that? Wait a second.
In resonance, if
Wait a
client have
second.
any
First.
queries, okay.
Yeah, wait a second. Hello. Yeah, Prashant.
Yeah, if in resonances, if client has
Reconnaissance.
any
Reconnaissance method.
okay, reconnaissance. If client has any queries, we need to do the VAPT pen testing. If client don't have any queries, we can
No,
perform only nmap test, right?
No, it is not related to the client having the queries. Like to actually start the pen testing, the data or some sort of information about the web application should be given by the client itself. If not, we can even perform the reconnaissance method by using the nmap tools. Okay, to perform the VAPT, there should be some sort of information, right? So that should be given by the client. Like for which client we are going to perform the VAPT. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
If you are not, I'm okay.
No.
So in the second case, we can use the nmap tool to get the information about the network related areas. Like let's say, for example, if the certain ports could be the open ports or closed ports in respect to post here means the web application, okay, or the victim browser as well. Like depending upon the scenario, we have to mention it is as a post. Like port status means port can be closed, port can be open, or port can be open filtered. Okay, so basically the closed port can be closed. So when we can say as a VAPT engineer, you can say that port is closed means when we send some of the sync packets or acknowledgement packets to the respective port of the respective host, if it doesn't respond any of the, it doesn't give any response to back to the our browser. Like we are performing the penetration testing, right? So it doesn't give any information back to our browser, then it can be called as the closed port. So if we send any sync packets to the
Can you repeat again? Can you repeat again, Kiran?
okay, there are 3 ports. Ports 1, 2, 3, and as a penetration testing, we have to send some of the sync or acknowledgement packets. Sync means here the synchronization packets. ACK means acknowledgement packets. In short, we will say as the sync packets. If we send sync or acknowledgement packets to respective ports 1, 2, 3, and only if the port 1 response like gives a absolute response to back to our client, then it can be called as the open port. And if even if the second port doesn't give any response, okay, it doesn't give any response about the status of the port, then it is called as the closed port. Coming to the third port, if the port is open but it doesn't give any of the information related to the status of the ports back to our browser, then it can be called as the open filter. Like it doesn't give any information about the whether it is open or closed. Like it might it doesn't give any response. Like we might think that the port is closed, but in general, like in reality, that port is open. So we can call it as an open filter. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how the status of the course will be used to perform the penetration testing in the case of the reconnaissance methodology. So here, this step is critically important. Like this is the major step in the overall VAPT course. Like this is the area where we have to get the strategy to perform the VAPT, as well as to get the useful information to perform the penetration testing.
Regarding what we will get from the client web application.
Yeah. Like let's say, for example, that a web application is using the database SQL or MySQL or Oracle. Okay, or like the web application is related to the bank or any insurance client. Okay, or web application is using the Java code or .NET code or even the Python code. Okay, as well as the where the web application have been deployed, like on which server the particular web application is running, like what is the configuration of the server, as well as what is the runtime of the web application, like how many requests that web application can handle, like how many HTTP requests that web application can handle. Like these type of information can be called as a reconnaissance. Like this type of information can be get through the reconnaissance methodology. Okay?
By using which tool we can do pen testing? I'm just asking for the knowledge.
Okay, like there are many tools for pen testing. That's what I'm saying. Reconnaissance methodology, we can use the Nmap related to the network. And coming to the related to the web application, we have another tool called OSP Zap. Okay, it can give the information related to the web application as well as vulnerabilities identified. There are another
vulnerabilities.
There are another term called spider. So this is one of the tools we can use in the scanning of the web application. This is called as the OSP Zap. Wait a second, it is loading. So I will explain what is the use of this app. First of all, I have mentioned the splattering or crawling, right?
Yeah.
First of all, splattering or crawling is basically when we use some of the tools called OSP Zap, like performing the splattering on the respective web application. Like it gets the information about how the data is being stored on that particular web application. Like what are the directories or what are the files existing. Like it just checks the overall web application by giving some of the inputs. Like the input can be the files. Like if we provide some of the bypassing mechanisms in the respective files, like so that it can bypass the access control set up by those web applications. So this OSP Zap tool can be used to check whether the files it is an automatic tool. First of all, in those files there could be some of the bypassing mechanism written by this OSP Zap, which is used to bypass the existing access controls set up by the web application. So this OSP Zap checks whether the files given by the OSP Zap can enter into the some sort of area or some sort of directory. Okay, this is called as the spattering or crawling. Like it gives any information about file path. Like in this file path, we can enter without having the authorization. Like in this path, we can even enter without like if there is input related to the harmful elements as well. Like it doesn't check the what are the type of the input data present in those files. Did you get this point? Yes. A second. Okay, this is the OSP Zap. This is the web application. Here, the OSP Zap will perform the spattering, or crawling on this web application by having some, let's say, for example, in the OSP Zap, we can write the files where the harmful elements can be written. Not exactly the harmful elements. We can say these elements as a bypassing mechanism. So that if we write some of the bypassing mechanism here, it can easily enter into the web application. Like if let's say for example here there is a bypassing mechanism. Bypassing mechanism. Like this mechanism will be set up by the inside of the web application only. Okay. This mechanism will be set up by the web application to check whether the data being entering into the web application is authorized data or legitimate data. Okay, for that purpose, this is one of the control called as access control. Okay, we can say it as a access control. So OSP Zap sends these type of files entering into this web application. Here, as I have said earlier, here there could be written information related to the bypassing mechanism. So, if this file can bypass this mechanism set up by the web application, it can give this OS app can give the information about like what are the areas. Like let's say, for example, here. In this area, like root slash directory 1 slash file 1234 where id equals to 2. So if this file can enter into this area, then it can be called as the vulnerability existing in the web application. So if this OSP Zap tool can enter into this area, then even the cyber attacker can easily enter into this area. So let's say, for example, in this area, there are files related to the configuration of this web application. Like if we enter the ls command, like as you know, if you enter the ls command in the Linux command, Linux, we can get the existing files in the this root directory. Okay, directory. So if this file one contains the information about the source code of this web application, and this file two contains the information about the user's data. So if this file can easily enter into this area, so the attacker can easily have the access to these files as well. So if the attacker has access to this file, then the web application security is discovered by the cyber attacker. So that's how the OSP Zap tool tests for the existing vulnerabilities in the web application. Did you get my point, Prashant?
Yeah, understood. But I need to take some time to similar to that parts and that topic.
Sorry, sometime to.
Yeah, actually, I understood what you are telling, but I need to read about that and.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
So I will explain overall demo of this tools. Like I will explain the architecture of this tools. Wait a second.
It is WhatsApp.
Yes, OWASP is app. It is related to the OWASP. I'll explain what is first of all what is OWASP. Okay, I will explain in coming lectures. Can you see this automated scan manual explore? First of all, this automated scan can be used majorly. Like when we perform the VAPT, we can use the majorly this automated scan only. We cannot we can use the manual explore option as well, but majorly we can use the automated scan only. If we this is so let's say for example I have clicked on this automated scan option, and I have to enter the URLs given by the client. URL to attack. You can see here, right? URL to attack. If you enter the, let's say, for example, here the http.abc.com. Here abc.com. Okay. If you enter, use traditional spattering. As I said earlier, there is a spattering method called. And if you click on this attack, like it is not a legitimate website, right? So that's what I'm not clicking on the attack option. If you click on the attack, here the here the ID1 source, like what are the vulnerability find out in this abc.com, like in by which method, like whether the OSP app has performed the method using the get method or post method. Okay. Do you know about this get or post methods in the HTTP?
Yeah, get the post put.
By here the method will be given. Okay, and here the reason will be given, like how the like why the this reason why the this vulnerability existing in the particular abc doc. Okay, these parameters are majorly important in in this overall parameters. Okay.
For my
Sorry.
sake, can you? For my sake, can you use any real-time URL? For example, Google.
Oh, no, we cannot perform on the google.com. Wait a second, I will check for the listing. Like I have not configured this OSP app. Let's see if that gives any information. Here you can see, right, Prashant, only the 4% of the scanning is being done. Okay, current scans only one URLs. The URLs existing in this application. Okay.
Yeah. The URL has been changed, right?
Sorry.
No, again the URL has came abc.com.
That's what I'm saying. Like I have entered the demo.txt file. See, failed to attack the URL, received a 403 response code. Okay. So if I'm entering that demo.h4 this URL, it is not giving any information about the, 403 response means basically it is a type of the error. 400 series are the series which gives the information about the error information. Okay. So basically, let's say for example, I have taken the abc.com. Here we can see here, Prashant, you can see here, right? Here, what are the methods being used by the OSP app to get the information about the URL? Here, let's say, for example, in that abc.com, there is a file, path called sitemap.xml. Like I have randomly entered this abc.com. It has given the status for 301 and the highest alert, like type of the alert, these are we cannot say that these all are vulnerabilities. Depending upon the priority, here there are two laws. Okay, these are not as a these two cannot be taken as a vulnerabilities. But we can even not consider this data given by the OSP app as well. If there, see here, there are many medium alerts. Okay, we cannot say that there are many medium vulnerabilities existing in the cbc.com. We have to only get the information about this URL. Okay, in this URL there is a chance for the existence of the vulnerability. Okay, existence of the vulnerability. So we have to take this URL and we have to check manually. So for that purpose, VAPTs should be performed in a careful manner. Okay. Like I'm checking if there is any high alert or no. No, there are no high alerts right now. Right. So that's how the scanning performs by the OSP app. Okay.
Okay, how do we perform if we have vulnerability in that URL by using manual scan? We need to perform the.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
If we have highest vulnerabilities, we need to take the link and we need to perform the test by using.
We don't need to make it a permanent depending upon the status of the this. Are you asking this? These alerts, right? We cannot completely depend on this particular tool. Like majorly in the VAPT course, we cannot completely depend on the tools. We can only get the information like, okay, this in this URL there could be existing of the vulnerability. We cannot 100% say that okay, this vulnerability exists in this area. We can even report that to the developer as well. After performing the scanning using the tool, we have to manually check those files as well. Okay, for that purpose, VAPT takes a lot of time. Let's say, for example, we can say that by using these type of tools, we can perform the penetration testing of single web application within 2 days or 3 days, but it majorly takes like 2 to 3 weeks to complete one web application. Why? Because we can not majorly depend on the tools here. We can only depend on the some useful information. That's it. We have to manually explore the those vulnerabilities. Okay. So for exploring those vulnerabilities, like we have another tools called Acunetics. Okay. First of all, Acunetics. Acunetics can be used to get the uh, very useful information about the vulnerabilities. So first of all, Acunetics is not as an open source tool. First of all, it is a corporate tool. Like it cannot be displayed here. Like it cannot be the data. The demo cannot be given on the Acunetics tool. Like the here Acunetics can be a replacement for the OSP app as well, but the OSP app is related to the open source only. It gives only 40% or 50% of correct information, but coming to the Acunetics, it is related to the corporate, right? It gives around 80 to 90% of the correct information. So at that time we can take the data from the Acunetics and we can even report that directly to the developers as well. Okay, how the Acunetics looks like, we have to show. See here, web application security scanner. Here you can see that false positive. Okay, pinpoint vulnerability locations, and here you can see the single page applications. I will explain all these concepts in the coming lectures. Okay, when we are discussing about the analytics. Like I'm checking for the picture. Yeah. Let's see. Can you see this person?
Can you zoom somewhat, or can you send the image link in the messages?
Okay, I will send that image later. So see, first of all, this subnetting is only used by the corporates, okay, not in an individual manner. And this Kubernetes can only be used in some situations. This Kubernetes tool can only be used in the internet area, like where the network cannot be accessed by the outside public. Like let's say, for example, in particular floor where the security department lives in the organization. In that area only, we can use the Kubernetes. Okay, like this is that much secure tool. Here we can even get the trends, like what are the vulnerabilities like detected, critical, high or medium, low. Okay, and here we can even check the recent scans, like by using the Acronetics tool. There we can even check the monitoring, like what are the recent scans performed by those users using the Acronetics. Here the number of scans will be displayed, number of websites will be displayed. Here we can even get the average time to fix as well. Here, if the vulnerability is detected in the particular web application is being detected by the appendix, here it even gives the time to fix those vulnerabilities. Like it can give the remediations as well, not extensively. Only the remediations can only be given by the user manually. It can even give the time to resolve those vulnerabilities. Okay. Like this is how the Appnetics looks like, or you can take this as an example as well. Here you can check the new scan option, stop scans. These are generic tabs basically. See, Prashant, you can see here, right? The scan tab, full scan. What are the for the weak passwords? We have tested the particular scan in this test php.vulnerable.com. Okay. Here we can even see that crawl only. Like we just only want to get the information about the existing uh, files like root areas, root directories, file paths. We just only need to get the information about the files existing. So as I said earlier, it is related to scattering or crawling, right? You can even perform only the crawling scanning as well. Here, see, only when we perform the crawling, there are zero errors, zero vulnerabilities, not errors. It is related to the zero vulnerabilities. But when we come to the full scan, here we can check there are 40 severely high vulnerability. Okay, are you getting my point?
Yes.
So that's how the scanning works. We have diverted from the topic. So that's how the OS-based app or Kubernetes can be used in the reconnaissance methodology. Okay, so the tools I have explained here so far is related to the reconnaissance methodology only, but Kubernetes and OS-based app can also be used for the next step, which could be the exploitation as well. Okay.
OSP Zap and Appnetics is used to scan, right?
No, yeah, like not extensively only for the scanning. We can even use them for the exploitation as well. Okay, exploitation means taking the advantage of the existing, uh, vulnerability. Did you get my point? What is the meaning of the exploitation?
Yeah, yeah.
If there is a vulnerability called file path vulnerability, so that we can easily enter, or we can even give the harmful files, so that it enters into the root directory or root file. Okay, this is how the exploitation works basically. So as a webpack engineer, basically the first step would be the reconnaissance methodology, where like we can say that overall work to be done by the webpack engineer can be decided in the reconnaissance methodology. Okay, so that's the reason this reconnaissance step is like very much important in the webpack testing. Okay.
Okay.
After the perform the reconnaissance method, the attacker can we can not say attacker, as a webpack engineer we can design our methodologies, like these type of vulnerabilities might be detected, might be not surely. We can perform extensively our method of pen testing into these areas. Like let's say for example there is a vulnerability, let's go for the vulnerability existing SQL injection, so that we can change our methods to perform the SQL injection extensively, so that to check whether the existing vulnerability really exists in those application or not. Okay. So today we have discussed about the web application architecture, web application architecture, as well as the methods in the penetration testing. So first step we have covered, and next step would be the scanning. Scanning I have explained as well, and third step is the exploitation. But before that exploitation, we should cover the uh, course content. Wait a second. We have to cover course content, like what are the existing problems in the web applications, differences, and you have to understand the basics of the JavaScript or HTML, CSS. Okay. Uh, it is not related to the even basic knowledge about the JavaScript. We just need to understand how the structure of the HTML and the CSS looks like. Okay. And after that, we have to go to the what types of the network, voice, TCP, IP models, and then the actual, these type of information can be useful for the pen testing. And then we need to discuss about the HTTP request responses method, status post 302 404 as well, or related to the HTTP methods like get, post, put. Cookies can also be used by the cyber attacker to get the disclose the user session. I will explain what is the cookies. And then the core VPT. phases of hacking, types of penetration testing. There is not only a single penetration testing, there are basically 2 types of penetration testing. I'll explain that as well. Step-by-step process of the performing BAPT. Like I will explain by taking some of the demo vulnerable application. Like in lab, I will explain the step performing of the VAPT, and then top 10 vulnerabilities related to the web application. Like these are the top 10 vulnerabilities, and these are the top 10 vulnerabilities related to the API security. Okay. Prashant, what is today's class?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's it for today, Prashant.
If I have any doubts, I will text you.
Okay. You can.
Thank you.